I should have fixed this before I started. Right here. Okay. Hello, Internet. I missed you. Did you miss me? It's Audrey from Fire and Fiber. I am coming to you in Southwestern Ontario, just down the river from Six Nations. This is my podcast where I talk about knitting, books, podcasts, kind of whatever floats my boat. And I am coming to you today. It is a cold and rainy and ugly day in Southwestern Ontario, hence the long sleeves. So I'm coming to you today with a bit of a different podcast. I actually had carpal tunnel surgery last week. It went really well. I was feeling really great until yesterday when I almost had a near accident. Someone unfortunately made a really dangerous move in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes, and by instinct, I honked my horn, which I have always done with my right hand while I was moving my vehicle out of the way. That really hurt, but I think if that hadn't happened, I probably would feel about 100%. So today is Wednesday. I got my surgery last Tuesday. Went really well, like I said. I have a few more things coming up. I have another surgery at the end of the month, which I'm not looking forward to. I do also have my other carpal tunnel surgery scheduled for the second week of June. So hopefully by the end of June, early July, I'll be back to my normal knitting self. I'm going to be honest, having to take time off knitting and rest has been really hard on my mental health, which, I think that's indicative of something that I'm unable to rest. But anyways, I have been binge watching a lot of, oh my God, Audrey Elizabeth. I've been binge watching a ton of Allie Makes Everything. One of the really cute things that I like about her podcast is that she opens every intro with talking about what kind of tea she's drinking and what mug she's drinking it out of. As someone with a raging caffeine addiction, I am currently sipping on my water since it's the late afternoon here. So I'm going to try and hopefully hydrate instead of caffeinate, and maybe we'll be able to get my speech to slow down a little bit. Who knows? I'm not normally someone who likes the latest on-trend thing. I like to think that I'm someone who normally doesn't buy things just because of trends. And so I was really reluctant to hop on the Stanley train. When I did, I was really happy I did. I have two of these, one for home and one for work. And I drink out of these at the gym as well. They actually are worth the hype, in my opinion. This one, I have my little boot on. And then I also have I don't know if you can see it, my World's Okayest Knitter sticker. That's just all I have on it right now. Shameless plug. These are my stickers that I designed. Anyways, so I wanted to talk today about a few different finished objects just because I don't really have anything on the go right now that I'm actively working on. And so I was thinking, what can I really talk about? And so I wanted to give everyone, because knitting is such a big part of my life, I've been pretty bummed out leading up to my first surgery, and then in the couple days recovering after. Because of that, I wasn't feeling super inspired to record. But one of the things that I did finish before my procedure is a test knit that I was part of. So I was going to talk about that today and a little bit of pattern review. So this is the Best Dress Vest pattern designed by So and So. So and So is spelled S-E-W, S-E-W. Get it? I love a good pun. The designer is Ashley R. Adams. I was lucky enough to be part of the test knit. And again, I feel like I'm just talking constantly about Allie Makes Everything. But if you have seen Allie Makes Everything's video about not understanding the hype behind doing a test knit, I'm going to tell you a few things that I enjoy about doing a test.
I just wanted to pop in here. It's Saturday, so I recorded my episode, I think, on Wednesday. And it's funny because I was going to joke. I've mentioned Allie Makes Everything a few times, and I was going to make a joke about ha ha ha, this is just an Allie Makes Everything fan page now. I went on YouTube this morning to grab a screen grab from her different video, and I saw that she mentioned me in her video of small channels to watch. And so I am just really grateful, and I was having a really crummy morning, and so I feel very seen and very loved, which is weird from a stranger on the internet, not in a bad way. I'll cut that part out. Anyways, I just want to say thanks, Allie. So me mentioning her podcast is totally circumstantial, just kind of, maybe not circumstantial, serendipitous, I guess is how I would call it. But anyways, I just wanted to pop in that quick. Most of the time I kind of hate the internet as much as I rely on it, but every once in a while it gives me cool little jumps like this, or the universe or whatever. So just very appreciative and grateful.
So this is, I don't even know how many test knits I've done, but this is, like I said, it is a vest. It is a wearable. I think maybe I'll start with what I like about test. So I believe that there are a lot of test knits. This is really great to go on Ravelry and pick a pattern that is well established, has been tested by lots of people, and oftentimes you can find different yarns. And what I like about that is you can look and see what yarns people have used, what their gauge is, different. It's really great for inspo. And so when I think about the benefit to doing a test knit, one of the things that I really like is that if I have a challenge, the answer is there in real time. I can message the group chat, which is typically how most test knits are run. They have some sort of group chat. It's either, I've done ones where they're on, gosh, I can't even remember that app, but sometimes they're on like Instagram groups or chats. And it's great because oftentimes if you're finding a part that you don't understand, someone else is in the same boat too. With an established pattern, I can absolutely troubleshoot things. When you look on Ravelry, people will include their notes, different challenges they might have had, modifications they might have made. That's great. I'm also someone who's comfortable reaching out to the designer or other knitting friends of mine if I need, but there's something really cool about having like a real-time answer in the group chat setting that comes with doing a test knit and being able to provide feedback to the designer. Because oftentimes if you're finding there's something challenging, you're not the only one. Water break, trying to slow down. Okay. So now we're going to get into the actual details and the numbers of my test knit. So the best dress vest does come in 10 sizes. I knit the size 8, and it is typically designed to be worn with a bit of positive ease. My gauge was a little bit off, and I knew that going into my test knit, and so my piece was had a little bit less positive ease and is a little bit more fitted. However, that was what I was going for, and that is what I preferred. So although it's a vest, to me it is very much a layering piece. I mean, I definitely could wear it on its own, but I knit mine with the intention of wearing it over top dresses. As someone who is a plus size human and very warm, especially in the summer, and if you take SSRIs or live in Southwestern Ontario or both, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So for me, I like to be able to have my knits that I can wear in the summer that are more layering pieces. Like I'm not going to wear a knit t-shirt necessarily all the time. So that's what really appealed to me about this pattern. So confession time, I have never actually knit with a half fisherman's rib before. So that was sounds really silly, but that was a really fun challenge for me. And because I'm like a real perfectionist, you can see there are some little uh-oh areas right here where I had mixed up my knits and pearls. Again, this was my own test knit, and this is on the back. If I was knitting this for someone else or it was glaringly obvious, I would have frogged it, but I didn't. And so, like I said, this is a size 8. I knit mine on 2.5 millimeter needles, and I knit with Lang's jowl 7525 superwash merino, which is technically their sock yarn. The pattern called for a sport weight silk. That wasn't something that I was really interested in for a couple of reasons. Sport weight, I just couldn't really find. So because I was shopping locally, there wasn't a whole ton in sport weight at the time that I was shopping, and especially in like a silk or a silk blend. I didn't want to go with cotton because it grows and I find cotton to be really heavy. And when I was looking through the group chat, a lot of other folks were also choosing fingering weight. And so I felt really comfortable going for a fingering weight. Again, like I was looking, anything I could find that was like meeting gauge also was just not my style. Like I wanted something obnoxious and I got something obnoxious. So I ended up going with Lang Jowl. Like I said, it's a 7525 superwash merino. The colorway is 385 pink neon. I used 3.78 skeins, which is the equivalent of 795 meters or 189 grams. So for context, this was the 4th skein that I had left, as well as the 5-gram darning or repair bobbins that come with these skeins. If you saw my video about vacation knits, you know that I was pleasantly surprised to learn about Lang's bobbins within their jowl. I had no idea. I thought it was the cat's meow. I talked a lot about how great it was. Apparently this was a common knowledge thing. I just had missed the memo. So I did take those bobbins into account when I was weighing my yarn as well. So the Lang jowl came in 50-gram skeins plus the 5-gram bobbin. I did make sure that I was double checking my weight when it came to the final counts of what I used for my test knit. And so, like I said, my gauge was a little bit off, but I was aware of that because I was test knitting for a size that was actually a bit bigger than what I typically would go for. I felt confident that it would work out okay. The actual construction of the garment, so it is knit back first from the top down with increases in the back panel. You do size down with your needles for the last few rows before binding off. There were a variety of bind off recommendations. I believe I chose, when I look at it, I think I just did like a standard knit purl bind off to just make my life easier. And then with the front, we are then attaching one of the shoulders. You knit down and out. So you do have to account for the neck shaping and the increases for the sleeve. This was my only complaint about the pattern, was that I am someone who's very visual, and I would have done really well with a drawing or a schematic that detailed which shoulder I was attaching, because, you know, there's my shoulder or like shoulder you're looking at, like left can mean right. The wording, because of the wording, it took me, I think, 3 different times to attach the shoulder. It just is how my brain works. The first time I attached the wrong shoulder and I started doing the increases on the wrong side. The second time I attached it on the proper shoulder, but I was knitting the pattern outward. I had my wrong side and my right side mixed up. The third time I had gone back to the original shoulder, and then I was right side and wrong side mixed up. And then I believe the fourth time I finally nailed it. Again, this is where the group chat came in handy. I was really frustrated with myself. And so I was able to message everyone, send a photo. I had a couple people send photos of their work back and just explain it in language that my brain needed to understand. So that really truly was my only complaint about the writing of the pattern itself. So like I said, you then knit the front down. And then when it comes to the sleeves and the collar, I actually don't remember which one I did first. Isn't that fun? But you do stitch up the sides a little bit. It is designed to be worn open like this. And then I picked up my stitches and I knit around my sleeves. My stitch counts were a little bit off. I ended up picking up, I didn't have quite as many stitches picked up as the pattern called for my size. But again, because I had made some sort of modifications around sizing, it wasn't a huge deal. The other modification that I made when it came to my sleeves and my collar is I only did 3 rows of ribbing instead of 5. It was personal preference. I was also feeling a little bit like I was on a time crunch. I really wanted to wear this for my shift at work, and so I was rushing it a little bit. That's also why my ends are not woven in yet. I keep hoping that I'm going to wake up and the Keebler elf has been here in the middle of the night to sew them in for me and trim them, and it has not happened yet. Anyways, so then I moved on to my collar. I think I moved on to my collar anyways. I don't quite remember the order, but the collar, regardless. What I liked about this pattern too is that the designer has you pick up the beginning of the collar at the back shoulder, not in the middle. So for me, that just created an even smoother line when it came time to bind off and sew in my ends. I really liked that. Sometimes I have knit sweaters where you pick up at the back, and I just don't like being able to see that tiny little demarcation. It's just personal preference. So the sides have a few different options. Some people in my test group chose to do a few little buttons. Some people did I-cord ties. I really wanted to be an I-cord tie person, and I was just out of time, over it. I also knew that like being a neurodivergent person, having an extra like something else hanging to get caught on, to snag, to irritate me especially if I was wearing it, especially if I chose to wear the vest without anything underneath. I knew in my logical brain that as much as I thought I-cord ties like in a little bow would be adorable, they would not serve me well and I'd probably end up removing them. So I opted not to, but those were the 2 different modifications that I saw that looked really lovely from a few different people in my test group. What was really cool too about this test knit is that a lot of people actually chose to use their own hand spun yarn. Seeing all of the different yarn and fiber choices and color palettes that people went with was also something that was really enjoyable to me. I did wear this to work the week that I finished it, and I got a lot of compliments, and I believe a few people I know have purchased the pattern and have started knitting their own, which I thought was really fantastic. That is like a big part of test knitting, right? Like you sign up to promote a designer, you sign up to provide your photos, provide your feedback, provide your sizing information. And for me as a plus size person, it's really important to see test knits on bigger bodies. So that was something that I was really happy to do. And yes, the amount of money I saved on the pattern probably didn't matter. But the other thing I wanted to say about the Lang jowl, I remember what I was going to say. When we're talking about fiber too, so I purchased all 4 of my skeins at Flying Squirrel in Waterloo. Aaron helped me out. Both of the owners are named Aaron. I don't know which one it was, but Aaron helped me out. Oh, the other, horrible. I'm so bad at learning people's names. Awful. But anyways, thank you, Aaron, for all your help. The other cool thing about the jowl is that it obviously has a bit of stretch, which I really liked. It wasn't 100% wool, so I felt confident that it would be a little bit more durable with the superwash component, but also the price point. I think this was like $9 or $10 a skein or ball, which, I had to buy 4. So that was about 36.40 Canadian dollars plus HST. So for me, that's a great investment. If I had had something in my stash that would have made sense, I probably would have gone with that. But I was really happy to decide on this like hot pink color for summer, although I really don't feel like I need an excuse to wear hot pink. It's an all year round color anyways, because, rainbows are neutral. So I really don't need an excuse to wear hot pink all year. I very much feel like it is a neutral and it goes with everything. But regardless, I was still really happy to have found this locally and be able to knit with it. One more finished object that I wanted to talk about. I'm fairly confident this person will not see this. If you are someone in my life who likes to support my ventures and ideas and things like that, and you are also someone who is potentially bringing new life into this world, please stop watching now. Thank you so much. Love you forever. There's a few special people in my life who are expecting tiny humans. And so I'm really excited to be able to knit for that. This is your last warning. Stop watching. A while ago, I thrifted, I don't even have the other tag. A while ago, I thrifted a ball of Serdar Snuggly Boucle. This is the color, I want to say it's like silver something. I'll check online. This is, I think this is like a 50-gram ball. Anyways, so like the true hoarder that I am, I found this at the thrift store for, I don't know, $2 or $3 and was like, I'll use that at some point, and I bought it. And so it's been sitting in my stash for a minute. And like I said, I was trying to think of what to do with it. And then I have all these people in my life who are expecting tiny humans. And so I made a bonnet. Yeah. I'm so obsessed with this. So I'm going to grab the pattern information. So as I said, this is the Garter bonnet by Adela Dutra, and it is made with Serdar Snuggly Bouclette in the color 120 silver. It's coming up more of a soft gray taupe in real life, so you're just going to have to trust me. So like I said, this was the Garter bonnet. It is a free pattern by Adela Dutra. I just wanted a simple bonnet, like no cables, no lace work, just something very, very easy. The pattern is really well written. I really enjoyed knitting it. It was a very easy knit, and I was actually able to finish the majority of this before I had my surgery, with the exception of the stitching afterwards and the I-cords. So it is knit in one piece, and then you stitch up the back. Like it's knit almost like a smaller rectangle on top of a larger rectangle, and then you stitch those sides together, and then add in the little I-cord ties after. Obviously, the bouclette doesn't really show the garter stitch. That is the feature of the bonnet pattern. But in terms of just like a solid, simple, easy bonnet pattern, this one you can't beat. It's free. There are certain Serdar patterns for bonnets. I'm going to be honest, I just wanted something on the cheap and cheerful, and you cannot beat free. So I was really happy with this. I haven't weighed it, but this is a 50-gram ball, and I definitely have at least half. So I could probably make another one of these. I might make some little booties. I haven't decided. Like I said, I do have quite a few friends and people in my life who are expecting humans. And so I could definitely make another one and probably still have a little bit left over after that. Although I haven't weighed the yarn, I'm confident that I have enough to make another bonnet, and I will definitely weigh it before I decide. But if you're looking for a simple, easy bonnet pattern, the Garter bonnet by Adela Dutra. So I think that is all I have for today. I actually recorded this a few days ago, decided that I hated it, and so this is a re-record. That's great. This is great. I was having a lot of tech problems the other day. It was one of those days where nothing seemed to go right. But anyways, let me know what you're working on, what you want to see coming up. I honestly don't know when I'm going to be able to record again or post or knit. I'm just trying to sort of get my personal life under control as much as possible and my work life under control as much as possible before I head into this season of taking care of myself, which, getting older is really a bummer. I don't recommend it, 0 out of 10. But yeah, I mean, I'm at least grateful that I have paid sick time and that I live in a country where we have free healthcare. And so these surgeries and procedures aren't costing me anything other than, time to recover. I'm not paying anything out of pocket. So very grateful for that. Anyways, I'm Audrey from Fire and Fiber. Happy knitting, everyone.